Hello, welcome to TCAAC on Hexus TV. This is Scott talking to Nick.
We started, sorry, I was relaxing.
You're just chilling out.
I was chilling out, yeah.
Well, if you don't mind paying attention for one second,
sorry.
I'm in a bit of a hurry.
Yeah, all right.
And we're talking about some of the hot stories that have been on the various Hexus sites this week. Following on from a conversation we recently had about the financial situation on the whole, the one technology company that seems to be struggling over and above the sort of global problems with its share price is NVIDIA. And there are a few reasons for this. Everyone knows it's had an issue with what it calls its die packaging situation, which is basically a manufacturing process which is leading to abnormal failure rates on some of its products. And today it announced that it was going to be cutting around 6.5% of its workforce due to what it called just sort of challenging economic or business conditions. And I summarised what those challenges were, which were this die packaging problem, which is having to take a hit to deal with it. It's also got problems with AMD/ATI producing better graphics cards, so it's having to drop its pants on prices, and that was announced a few months ago. But the most recent development for NVIDIA has been its own shareholders taking out what's called a class action lawsuit against it in the States. Class action being that sort of anyone can join, it's sort of collective action. And the shareholders are alleging that NVIDIA knew about this die packaging problem earlier than it let on, and thus anyone who bought shares in between when it first knew and when it officially announced it bought them under false pretenses. And so that's causing problems for it. So basically NVIDIA's sort of in a spot of bother right now, and it's having to cut jobs and consolidate to sort of build itself back up again. I'm just wondering, if you were a shareholder of NVIDIA, how would you feel about that situation?
Well, it's a tricky one because I don't really dabble in the share market anyway, because I think it's all just sort of like, it's something I'm not bothered with.
Thing. I want cash.
Yeah, I haven't got the cash to do it. But no.
Heroes.
My thoughts really are that they're leaving themselves open for a start. They left themselves open for this lawsuit by essentially back in in November that they knew that they had this problem with the packaging and everything. But also they need to focus on being competitive. Allegedly, yes. Allegedly, absolutely allegedly. They need to be focusing on being competitive in the market that they're in.
Indeed.
And that's the problem they have at the minute. I mean, there was always going to be trouble for them with the AMD/ATI merger. That was always going to cause them trouble. And essentially they're a smaller player now, which will make NVIDIA people watching this absolutely wince. And probably
so market cap is still greater than the whole of AMD's, incidentally.
Yeah, but I mean, basically the resources that they can put behind development of new cores is much less than the weight of AMD and ATI combined.
And that does mention, actually, sorry to butt in, that there has been one sort of product launch by NVIDIA this week. They've launched the GTX 260.
Yeah.
People are going, hold on a minute, I thought they'd already launched the GTX 260. And this is just a new improved one. I won't get into the techie stuff, more shader process or something like that. And on our forums, most people are saying, well, why just call it a 260? That's the confusing thing. If it's a new product, why are you still calling it 260? I would imagine why not 270 or something? Maybe
they're intending it as a product refresh, but I think essentially what they need to do is that I can understand why they've cut the jobs, and they need to ride out the storm. So it might be like a forward-looking thing because they've don't want to go the way of Lehman's or no, definitely, they're definitely consolidating. Essentially, maybe that's what it is, but that's what happens in times of like credit crunch and recession, looming recession.
And with all that extra problems on top,
you trim your sales. You trim your sales in advance of the problem.
Yeah.
So what they've trimming the sales. It's a sad thing for people to ever lose their jobs about anything.
Yep.
Other than Gordon Brown. Okay. So it's
and heads of investment banks.
Yeah, and heads of investment banks. It's a sad thing for those people to lose a job. I can understand why, but what they need to do is they need to have a decent, marketable proposition, which I just don't think they've got at the minute at the price points that they're talking about.
Yep, I agree. And it'll be interesting to see with all these sort of remedial measures that NVIDIA's taking, how it extracts itself from the current situation. And as ever, with all these things, only time will tell. Okay, you've been watching Scott and Nick on TCAAC on Hexus TV.
So NVIDIA, they make graphics cards.
Yeah.